working with Nutanix, again, that gives sort of that instrumentation and ability to optimize, right? And also be able to really orchestrate and kind of figure out the right sort of, again, workload placement, but also the right network connectivity and the right architecture to best serve their end customers.
This is the Nutanix Cloud Interlock podcast with your host, Michael Carr.
Welcome back to Nutanix Cloud Interlock, your place on the internet to find all the resources you need to get your hybrid cloud journey done right. Joining Maksim and myself today is the APJ Leader for Equinix Digital Services, Stanley Chan. Hello, buddy.
Thank you. Welcome. I'm glad to be here.
Thanks very much, mate, for joining us.
Welcome.
Stan, Equinix is a global leader providing interconnectivity, hosting services for customers around the globe. An initial boom in cloud adoption. We're seeing customers pivoting now. They're adopting cloud at the edge. They're adopting more services in dispersed locations. I think we saw an even bigger adoption through COVID, and people trying to repatriate now. They're looking at economics differently. How is Equinix viewing the current market around hybrid cloud at the minute?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's definitely an exciting time for Equinix, Nutanix, and a lot of us in the ecosystem. So I think in general, between COVID and sort of the whole digital transformation wave, I think it's actually been creating a lot of great disruption, but in a very, very positive way. So I think for enterprises, digital natives, it's obviously given choice to many, many customers. But of course, now with complexity, there's the notion of workload placement, cost optimization between using cloud, but also still using on-premises when it makes sense. Equinix having been in business now for about 25 years, we've seen the journey from traditional hardware, co-location, data center, sort of racking and stacking your own kit. And then, of course, customers moving more aggressively to public cloud. It's been a great sort of privilege for Equinix to be sort of at that center point and the intersection, serving both hyperscalers, service providers, and enterprises in terms of really maturing their journey as they think about how to shift, again, workloads and new projects and new initiatives to public cloud, to SaaS providers, or in, again, many situations, they want to sort of optimize it basically by putting things on the edge or behind the firewall when it makes sense.
Tell us a little bit more about Equinix Digital Services and how that is, say, different from that traditional arm that people know the Equinix brand for.
Yeah, it's definitely an honor to speak about the digital services. I represent it for the APJ sort of market, but holistically, what we're trying to do is really, again, sort of provide innovative services to complement our core mainstream offering, which is providing world-class leading data center services around the world. We operate over 270 data centers today, and that continues to grow each and every year. And as part of that, again, the journey that a lot of our customers are looking for is really that flexibility in terms of being able to rack and stack and operate their own physical infrastructure, but obviously be able to connect quickly and flexibly to different service providers, again, whether it's hyperscalers, network service providers, SaaS providers, other digital natives, or in some situations, depending on the sort of vertical industry within their own ecosystem. For example, like financial services, low latency, high-speed trading. A lot of these customers are looking at different techniques, different technologies, better security, better speed, better cost benefit in terms of really sort of operationalizing and scaling these infrastructures.
Okay. And you, Equinix itself, you're hosting a lot of cloud services for the big cloud providers. That's a big part of the business. How this collaboration between Equinix and Nutanix can help customers in their journey over to the cloud? What are the benefits? How we can help them together to be better in their cloud journey?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say, in terms of our role, in terms of one, not only sort of housing or hosting a lot of the hyperscalers, providing direct on-ramp to the hyperscalers, again, to interconnect between cloud to cloud or cloud to DC or cloud to colo, working with Nutanix, again, that gives sort of that instrumentation and ability to optimize, right? And also be able to really orchestrate and kind of figure out the right sort of, again, workload placement, but also the right network connectivity and the right architecture to best serve their end customers. Again, whether it's a customer that has regional presence in APJ where we are, or they have eyeballs and consumers here, but their main sort of infrastructure could be sitting in Europe or the US. Again, using the Nutanix platform and a lot of the tools you have, how do you sort of best manage not only the workloads, but the data that's traversing back and forth across these various platforms? Again, we have the flexibility and a lot of the services that are API driven. We have a lot of digital services that we are now offering that operates just like a public cloud. So you're able to deploy that through the Nutanix platform easily and quickly, either through scripting or through schedules or on demand as necessary. Again, so that you can flex between different sort of network demand requirements, or again, between say on-prem, private cloud, public cloud.
So that really becomes the cloud in the terms where you have a control on where you want to deploy, what you want to deploy, and how you want to pay for it, with the same consumption metrics as in the cloud and the same agility and speed as the bigger guys can offer.
Absolutely. Right? Yep.
We recently ran the Nutanix Customer Insights Survey. So over 125 enterprise customers around the globe. And the feedback we had around the main two challenges that came back from the customers was around moving enterprise workloads to cloud faster. So they're obviously trying to make that ROI and TCO model work, and incompatibility with the platforms across disparate clouds or between on-prem, edge, and the cloud. What's your sort of take on that? How do you see that from an Equinix point of view?
Yeah, the way I kind of look at it is really, I think it's workload dependent. Yep. That's one, and I think the second is really the customers and enterprises based on sort of either the regulations or just how they choose to operate based on their own internal sort of governance and corporate policies. So we'll start with kind of the workloads. Again, the intention is really looking at how do we help customers modernize and move to public cloud as fast as possible. Yeah. Now, that's obviously an aspiration. There's been a lot of articles and sort of best practices around the 7 Rs, if you will. The notion of just lifting and shifting to cloud is something that's not trivial. And so there's been a lot of real world cases, I'm sure you guys have seen this, where customers have stated publicly that they're going to move to cloud in the next 3 to 5 years. Everything is going off of traditional data centers, but there's obviously some pause in between when they realize, certain workloads cannot just physically be moved to public cloud. And it becomes a journey with those 7 Rs. Equinix has played a role in many of these situations where, one, we either help rehost and move that off of a legacy traditional DC, so they can then move from, say, hard CapEx, they can repurpose that, call it physical real estate that they have on campus, and then start to really look at as a service using co-location as one method to look at kind of their fleet of applications and that infrastructure. And finally, in that broader sense around compliance, policy, a lot of customers are looking again at what makes the most sense. There are certain processes and workloads and applications absolutely make sense in public cloud, and then certain things that potentially are more optimized and could be run better from a cost performance perspective at the edge or on dedicated hardware.
Yeah. And I think one of the joys, but also a challenge in this great region of APJ is that we can't cover so many different countries, and each one of them comes with a different set of regulations. And especially when we talk about enterprise and we're talking at FSI or public sector at that scale. So we're tasked with a unique set of requirements. Maybe it's for BCDR, maybe it's for hosting customer data between Singapore and Australia. It's different. And then we go to Japan or Korea and India, and again, they're different again. So I think, the flexibility that something like Nutanix running in Equinix can provide for customers that need to say, well, I need to touch it, I need to be able to feel it, it's got to be sovereign. But these percentage of workloads, they run better, and there's no PII issues or data sovereignty issues. They can run in the cloud. So I think that's a really powerful message that we can provide customers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the broad portfolio of tool sets that Nutanix has, right, in terms of everything from Nutanix Move to help them be able to quickly shift, applications and services from one place to another, be it, on-prem, be it from Equinix, be it to public cloud or vice versa. And of course, a lot of the different sort of orchestration, security tools, and a lot of the management tools to really help these customers kind of, again, move from that traditional type of architecture all the way to like containers and Kubernetes. Of course, using virtualized kind of capabilities allows for that, again, dynamic flexibility to what you're saying, whether it's across different countries, across different types of situations in terms of applications and tiers of workloads. And of course, for different types of customers, whether they're a startup or a large enterprise.
My next question, probably the last one for today, would be more on overall infrastructure space that we see in the market. There have been a lot of challenges over the last few years, especially here in ASEAN with new data centers coming up, new data centers from hyperscalers coming up. And there's always this question that we hear from the customers: what should we do? Shall we stay with virtual machines? Shall we go for the containers? Shall we move to the colocation? Shall we stay with our own data center? Shall we plan 5-year transition to the public cloud? There's a lot of misunderstanding between different industry players as well in this space. So what would be your advice to our joint customers and to the market on how to navigate these infrastructure challenges?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot, and you can toss in this thing called AI. I'm not sure if you heard of it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of just interesting, again, sort of opportunities, challenges, but again, talked about it earlier in terms of choice. Sometimes choices creates too much in terms of, it creates paralysis in terms of what customers should be doing. And I think, at least with Equinix, one of the things that we're super proud of is, and it's sort of buried in the name, right? It stands for kind of like equal network internet exchange. That's kind of the origins of the company name. Again, so part of it is providing choice, being somewhat agnostic in terms of knowing that technologies will evolve. And again, we're super excited about the partnership we have because, again, things will change, whether it's because things have over-rotated to maybe a particular platform of choice or because of, emerging sort of things like AI where people are figuring out or struggling to decide where to deploy that infrastructure, how much money to spend. And so, again, I think without sort of endorsing Nutanix, I think Nutanix does provide a great platform that works together well with Equinix, where we're providing the physical sort of infrastructure, edge services, the connectivity to allow for that dynamic flexibility, whether, again, it's AI or just traditional applications that need to be modernized. Again, whether it's, sort of a monolithic kind of architecture, moving to virtualization or to something else. I think, again, customers, I don't think have sort of a clear answer right away. They may have some sort of line of sight for the next 2-3 years, but it'd be foolish for anyone to say this is sort of the architecture of choice for the next 5-10 years.
Mate, we touched on the primary challenge, which is really customers are faced with almost unlimited choices now. But the static requirements around cost transparency, being able to place workloads where it makes sense, performance, geography, customer base, user base, whatever it is not going to change. So I thank you for joining us today to talk about how Nutanix and Equinix are making that a reality for our customers as they embark and try and really enhance their cloud journey together. So thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Nutanix Cloud Interlock. We hope you found it really insightful. We dived into some great topics today. And for those of you out there looking to test drive what this looks like, the link could be here, or it could be here, or it could even be below. So make sure you check into that. Test drive Nutanix Cloud Clusters running today. You can check it out on Equinix as well. It runs really well. Just ask Stan. Thank you very much.